I like to wait until the very last reverberation has happened with the bell. Good morning and welcome. It's a joy to see you all this morning. For anyone visiting this morning for the first time, a special welcome to you. We're so glad you've come, and we hope you'll join us this afternoon downstairs after the service for a cup of coffee. We are the North Shore Unitarian community, where our mission is to live and to empower people to live with greater depth, meaning, and purpose. And we aspire to live that mission with joy and hope and actions, all led by our 8 principles and the wisdom of the many sources that help guide our way. In the Jewish tradition, this is Rosh Hashanah, the birthday of the universe. It means literally the head of the year. And just as the head controls the body, our actions on Rosh Hashanah have a tremendous impact on the rest of the year. And I encourage us this morning to look at that future. We meet on the shared and unceded territory of the Squamish and the Tsleil-Waututh people, and we hold a reverence and a respect for the land and for all those who hold it dear. We all come from different places, different walks of life, different religions, different beliefs. No matter how you make your living or how you experience the sacred, you're welcome here, because here, together, we can find comfort, connection, challenge, and love. And we're walking our paths side by side this morning. And walking our paths is what we're going to talk about this morning. Stepping through the past and into the future with joy and choice and without fear. My name is Leslie Gibbons. I'm your Sunday associate this morning, or as Carrie has pointed out last week, I am your SA. We'd like to light our chalice this morning, and Pat has offered to come up and light it. Thank you, Pat. Let's say our opening words together that you see on the screen behind me. Thank you, Pat. We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering. May the light of understanding illuminate our darkness. May the warmth of sharing bring us peace. Let it be so. Thank you. I'm going to start this morning with a time for cares and joys and a time for centering. And before I start, I have 2 announcements to make that one I think many of you are anxious to hear. That Jim Stevenson has had both heart surgeries. He had them on Tuesday. They were successful. One replaced a faulty valve, and one was a repair of part of the aorta. It took Jim a few days to emerge from the disorienting effects of the sedation, so he stayed in the cardiac surgery ICU till Friday. Yesterday, he was moved to a single room in the cardiac recovery ward on the 10th floor. With help, he's been able to sit in a chair, stand up, walk a short distance down the hall with a walker. No talk yet of when he might be discharged, but as Marcia says, we are grateful to his surgeon and all the medical specialists on his team. And I can add to that, it's about time. My second announcement has to do with June Hahn. And regrettably, June Hahn has had a fall. And she's broken her hip. I know. And she's in Lionsgate, and she's had surgery. She's recovering. And I know she would love to see visitors. I know that she would love to hear from you, because we'll miss her until she can find her way back to us. Now, I'm going to invite you to come up to the chancel this morning with the joys and cares in your heart, and light a candle and place it in the sand. I know there are people here today whose hearts are full of struggle and who carry with them those who are struggling or in pain. And there are people and events to celebrate and acknowledge. Now, these candles are going to sit together just as we're sitting together and sharing the space of compassion and understanding. Please come up if you wish and light a candle. Put it in the sand, and I'll start. I'd also like to light a candle this morning of global concern for those outside our community who are facing hardship. It seems right now that the earth is meting out troubles for many in the world, and with flood, fire, earthquake, and wind, a lot of people are in distress, have lost their homes, have lost their livelihoods. So I would like to light a candle for them. Now let's take a minute of silence to settle again into our thoughts and our meditation, our contemplation, giving our Unitarian prayers to those in need this morning. Just a minute. Well, I'm sure that was good to knock off 1 or 2 calories. Let me start off my reflection this morning with a very well-known poem by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere, ages and ages hence. 2 words, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that's made all the difference. We're all travelers, facing the consequences of our past actions, our past decisions and choices, living with our regrets at the paths not taken, perhaps living with relief that we did the right thing. But if we took the path less traveled, if we turned left instead of right, or took the familiar and safe path, I think we've all wondered, what if? What if I'd made that other choice? And is it too late? Frost says that he kept the first path for another day. But sometimes that other day doesn't come. Well, I'm going to encourage us this morning to revisit those paths, to throw away any thoughts that it's too late, to face our mistakes and regrets. It is Rosh Hashanah, after all. Or, in turn, to celebrate our choices and the courage it took to make them. And we can look forward and perhaps even now do a U-turn. Because, well, what's to stop us? Our lives are in our hands. Our decisions, they're ours. I've always considered September the beginning of a new year, not January. Perhaps after reflection, we could make our new start today. Later on in the service, I'm going to make you all uncomfortable, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to tell each other about those pivotal moments when you chose a path, perhaps a wrong one, perhaps a right one, and what it's meant to you. Have you ever wanted to start again and do something different? For example, years ago, I decided not to stay in university, but chose to work so my first husband could get his master's and his doctorate. That is a very familiar story. I never completed my formal education. I tried several times, but I always let something get in my way. That's one of my roads not taken, and I regret it. But there have been many more. On the other hand, I did choose to marry once or twice. Or 3 times. And have children, and despite the bumps on that road, I don't regret it. I am still working, however. I am still working on forgiving myself for decisions and paths taken around Matt, my son who passed away. Good intentions often aren't good enough. But I'm successful a lot of the time. As they say, we are all a work in progress. Now, let's enjoy the choir sing "The Road Not Taken."
I could not travel
That was beautiful. Thank you. I think one of the graces, and there are many, of getting a little older is that you do have time and you do have wisdom to look back and reflect on the paths you chose, on the decisions you made, and congratulate yourself for the courage you showed in making those choices. So now's the time to make you uncomfortable. I would love to hear from you. We all would love to hear. If any of you would be willing to share those pivotal moments when you changed course, made a different decision, and what a difference it made in your lives. Don't just sit there and look at me. Be courageous. Speak up. It's time for me to pray. I don't know about you. Oh, thank you. And I think Allison, yeah. Oh, thank God for that.
When I was quite young, I guess around 8 or 9, I was involved in figure skating and I was involved in taking piano lessons. And I got to a point where I had to choose. Mother said, you know, if you choose to be a figure skater, you're going to be getting up early in the morning around 6 o'clock. You'll be going to skate for 2 hours, come home, have breakfast, go to school, and then after school, you're going to go back and you're going to skate again for another 2 hours. I went, oh, okay. She says, however, if you choose to play piano, you can play whenever you want after school, and you only have one lesson for half an hour every week. And I thought, that sounds really good. So I kept up figure skating as fun, but I think I'm glad I took that road, and I ended up being a piano teacher as well. So I think I took the right road.
I think
Thank
you did too. So sometimes it takes a little help to make that decision. You? Oh, Karen?
I didn't think I'd be up here saying this. Let's see, many years ago, we spent 2 years in the Bay Area when Brian was doing a postdoc, and then we spent 2 years in Buffalo. And I was desperately lonely in San Francisco, and I decided when we went to Buffalo that I was just going to change my attitude and that I was going to be really more extroverted and try to be friendly with everybody that I met. And it made all the difference. Anyway, it really did. I mean, at school and in our neighborhood, it was a profound difference. And I may have gotten stuck back in my old ways now. I'm back in Vancouver, but I hope not.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Good morning. When I was 15, I came home and told my mom I was moving out. I had already rented a place with my 17-year-old girlfriend, and I did. I moved out, and she said, I don't think this is the right thing for you to do, but I support your choice. And I kind of wish she had been a little harder on me, to be frank. But when I was 16, I got that girlfriend pregnant. When I was 17, I became a father. And that little so-and-so is turning 40 this year.
All right, an example of when a possibly bad decision turned into a very good one. You got a reward. Wayne? Oh, I wish we could take the mic to you, Wayne. I know. We're stretching the cord for you.
We're really stretching the cord for you.
Here, hold on. So what happened with me was really not a decision. It was a happening in my life. And that was that I had chosen at one point to become a YMCA professional. It's very emotional. And I had gone, it had been a significant issue because I grew up in Winnipeg and I went to Chicago. So, you know, that was a big thing to get on the train, 17 years old, head off, you know. And I did well. I enjoyed Chicago, and I had a very good mentor there. He suggested that I should do some training in administration. And so with his help, I organized the fact that I was going to stay in Chicago and do my MBA. And then I applied to Northwestern University, and I never heard from them. And I ended up, because I was working at the time at a camp with some people, and there was an opportunity to stay there and continue on as the coordinator of the treatment program at this place. So I decided, well, okay, I guess I'll go into social work. And so I'd left all my things in Chicago. And so I drove back to Chicago and I went to Northwestern admissions because I was very angry. And I said, you know, so the lady at the desk walked back, pulled up my file, handed me my letter of acceptance, and it had gone to the wrong address. Okay? So it's like, I think, wow, if I had stayed in Chicago, done my master's, gone on to be a YMCA professional, my life would have been entirely different, right? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Wayne. Here she comes.
Hi there. When I was young, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, my goal, my idea of what I was going to be was a home economist. My mother was a home economist, and I just thought, I knitted, I crocheted, I sewed, whatever, I love to cook and get my hands in the cookie dough. I thought, oh, this would be perfect for me. As I got older, my dad and I had a lot of conflict. By the time I was 18 and ready to go to university, I thought, home economist, 4 years. Elementary education, 2 years. I decided I'd become an elementary school teacher. And I have to say, it was a marvelous career. I loved working with young children. I loved seeing the lights come on with kids. But I have to say, I still look at the cut of your clothes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, way back in 1967, when I graduated from art school, I thought, God, I would just love to teach art in an art school. Well, that didn't happen. So I worked as a freelance artist for a few years, and then the babies started coming, and I thought, well, I really need a steady job where I get a paycheck every week. So I thought, well, what can I do? Well, I do glass work, so I went and applied and got a job as a glazier, construction glazier, and became a foreman. And by the time I was 40, I was pretty comfortable in doing that work. And then somebody suggested that they said that BCIT was looking for a glazing instructor. And I thought, oh, yeah, and everybody was saying, you should take it, Stuart. And I thought, oh, I'm old, I'm 40, I'm comfortable. And, everybody, including my wife, you should take it, Stuart. And I thought, oh, God, no, I don't think so. And so this young fellow I was working with, just a young guy, young apprentice, he said, hey, Stuart, you can, if it doesn't work out, you can always come back here. And I thought, from the, the wisdom from the babe here, like just a young kid. And I thought, yeah, I guess I could. So I, thought, I'll go to the interview and I'll be totally honest with him. And I wasn't really trying to sell myself. I thought, I'll just, And they gave me the old interview, and can you do this? Yeah, I can do that. Can you do this? No, I haven't done it, but I guess I could learn. And I thought, I probably haven't done a very good job in the interview. But anyway, it turned out I got the job. Now, I'm not sure if there's somebody else behind me or if I was the only person that applied. I kind of think it was. But anyway, so I spent 25 years teaching pretty much all the apprentices in British Columbia. And I am so grateful that I made that decision because it was the best thing I'd ever done. I actually got to do what I loved, teaching. It wasn't teaching art, it was teaching technical stuff, which I think even my sister couldn't believe that I was actually teaching trade math. But anyway, so it turned out it was just the best decision I made, and I just loved it, and I just loved teaching, especially young apprentices. Thank you.
All the best, Allison. When we get to a certain age, we have lots of histories, don't we? I'll spare you the history of me running off to the Navy, France, teaching, and all that kind of stuff, and go to something more recent. And largely because when I see Leslie here, I'm reminded of many times with her and Maurice, whom I miss very much, and a little poem that he handed me one day called Reach Out. The reason, what I want to tell you about is this recent period about the pandemic. Now, I am an introvert, apparently. And it was very easy for me to live through the pandemic. I could spend all my time by myself if I wanted to. I keep myself busy. But I found that during the pandemic, ultimately, that we need each other. And even if you're an introvert, good things can happen if you reach out to people. And I say that to you folks, because I know there are lots of introverts out there. And it can be a good thing to reach out.
How wonderful.
Going once.
One more? Do you want to
more?
say something, Carrie?
Oh, okay. Just this once. I took the road less traveled once, right up there at the back, talking with Harold Rosen. Many of you will remember him. And I was very unhappy coordinating the music therapy program in a very chaotic situation back in the late 80s. And he said, sometimes you need to just realize what kind of decisions you make over and over. And I was thinking about where my happiest experiences were, and it was working with very young children, which I then worked with so happily ever since that time in the 90s. And it was just one of those glorious times where you're so happy after making the decision and so unhappy before you get to know that that really was, for you, the right one.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. We'll we'll close with that. But my biggest thank you really goes out to you, A, for getting me off an uncomfortable hook, and because I treasure this time when we can get to know each other better, and we feel safe with each other, that we can talk freely, and that's a rare thing in this world, and it's something that we share in this congregation. So thank you for this morning. And what have we learned? I mean, we've learned that people can change, they can forgive, they can start again, they can show such a desire to have things different. They can be courageous and accepting, and most of all, I think it shows such an open heart. So thank you, and with that thank you, I would like to go into a time for our offering. And I invite you now into the spiritual practice of generosity. During the month, our outreach recipient is going to be the Edible Garden Project. It's located both in West and North Vancouver. And their mission is to create a community where access to growing and sharing fresh, healthy food is possible for all people. And I certainly personally support that. So would the ushers please come forward? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, choir and Allison. Thank you all for your generosity and for all that you do to create our beautiful community here and for those outside these walls as well. And let me take this moment to especially thank all those who helped with the service today and all those who offered to help. Thank you. I needed every single bit of it. Now, please stand if you're willing and able for our next hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of the evening, voices of caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of the evening, voices of caravan of
Wonderful, wonderful to hear that from up here. In the Jewish tradition, this is Rosh Hashanah, one of the Jewish holy days, and a time to reflect, to honor the past, wonderful or difficult, and cleanse our thoughts for a new beginning. A time for reflection and a time for hope. A time to think about stepping out of the past into the future. Perhaps a time to take that road less traveled, or in fact, the one never taken. Let me close with words by Barack Obama. Jewish tradition teaches us that for the next 10 days, the book of life is open. As millions of Jews ask God to inscribe their names in that book, we recognize how much lies beyond our control. Yet, during these days of awe, we recognize our tremendous power to make a difference in our lives and in our world. Before we close, I have 2 announcements to make. The first one is next Sunday, after our service, there's going to be a town hall, a sort of update for the congregation of where we are, and we'd like to hear from you on how we're doing and where you would like to go. So do come to that town hall next Sunday. And it will be after Sue. Sue is giving the service next. Well, come and tell us about the service next week.
I'll be the service coordinator next week, and the primary speaker is going to be Catherine Nicholson, who many of you know has professional qualifications about dealing with grief. And the service is going to be called Grief is the Price We Pay for Love. And it sounds heavy, but it will end on a positive note, and I invite you all to join us. There'll be some beautiful music and beautiful reflections. A reflection on our values, which I think will set us up very nicely for the town hall, if you can join for that too.
Thank you, Sue. So now let's extinguish our flame and repeat the words that you see up on the screen. We extinguish this flame.
Carry with us the light of vision and the warmth of hope.
Please stand, hold hands or elbows, however you choose, for our closing song. Circle round for freedom. Just a quick reminder before you go. Is there a reason for this? Sorry. We have an Environment Action Team meeting at 12:15, or scheduled for 12:15, but we may not want that long downstairs. So if you want to come up earlier, it will be in the sanctuary. All of you are welcome to be part of the team. We're really going to be discussing what our priorities are, what our passions are, and what we want to focus on for the coming year. So please attend. We'd love to see you. Thanks. Yeah, no, good. That's good. Good.